Okay, so data miners officially have access to the PC version of Jump Force, and now that you mention it, I do as well. I've been playing the game and I've been loving it. But that's not what we were talking about right now. I'll have other Jump Force videos out later on, either today or tomorrow. Trust me, I've got some pretty awesome plans for it. But data miners have access to the game now. That's the important thing. People have been searching for DLC characters. A pretty notable data miner in the community, his name is Sergio, or Sergio, I don't know how to properly pronounce it. He has been data mining the game, and it appears to be the case that he's not going to be able to find specific characters. I don't know that for sure, it's just my interpretation of his words, so if that's wrong, I apologize to him. But it sounds like the way that the game is set up, you won't ever be able to tell specific character names from the data mining unless we find tertiary information that connects characters like what we found here. Now, he has noticed that folders are in specific spots, as in the roster has missing slots in specific areas, so you could theoretically possibly figure out the series of some characters, additional characters coming to the game. Rosters, I don't know what that means. I don't know if that means there's going to be an additional series there. I think it's pretty hard to read too much into stuff like this because after all of this could be reorganized at any point. I don't want to read too much into it, so I'm going to choose to ignore that portion of it, but there's a very, very important part of what Sergio has found so far. Now, keep in mind this is very early days and you might find contradictory information or you might find more specific information, and if he does, I'll be sure to update you here, or you can go subscribe to his YouTube channel, which I'll leave a link to in the description. But here's the information. There is a dialogue text file, or something along those lines, that shows off this. I'll let you read it for yourself if you want to, but there's obviously very specific mentions of Kaiba. So for example, here's an interaction that I'm assuming is taking place during the lobby. You know how you can walk up to certain characters and talk to them? I'm assuming this is one of the interactions you could have. For example, if Seto Kaiba was in the lobby, he would say something like this. Let me introduce myself again. I'm Seto Kaiba, president of Kaiba Corporation. I could care less about you, but to protect my brother Mokuba, I will help you. You should be grateful. So there's a couple things going on with this document. I won't go through all of the dialogue, but there are some spelling errors. I asked Sergio specifically about that just to get his interpretation on it. So why would there be spelling mistakes on this? The file was originally in a hexadecimal format in Japanese, so there are probably going to be like a lot of errors in this, but he promises me that this is genuinely from the game files. So again, there's a couple ways to interpret this, right? But the important thing is that there are Kaiba files in the game, or at least files referencing Kaiba in some way. It's very clearly Kaiba talking here because he says, my brother Mokuba, so unless there's another Kaiba brother that we don't know about yet. And it obviously says, I am Seto Kaiba, so it's very clearly Kaiba talking. So what was the initial plan for Kaiba? There's no Kaiba clothing in the game. We know that the DLC characters come with clothing, so there's some information to connect there, right? If you expect Kaiba to be DLC, you would explain why there's no clothing for him in the game. You would expect someone like Kaiba to probably have clothing in the game, especially because Marik's got clothing in the game, so there are Yu-Gi-Oh characters with clothing in the game, but Kaiba doesn't, which is kind of weird because Kaiba's just got much better fashion sense. So I do find that disconnect interesting, that Kaiba does not have clothing in the game. He's referenced in the game files, and the DLC characters come with clothing. I'm not going to say that this character is confirmed. I'm, however, feeling pretty confident that Kaiba will be included in DLC. Remember, that's just my interpretation of the information. Please do not take this information as confirmed. Everything is subject to change. Oh, and another thing, if Kaiba does end up not being in the game, please do not blame Sergio for this information. He is just putting out information for us to interpret. It's on us to interpret the information that we have. There's one of two things going on here. Well, actually, there's one of three things going on here. Kaiba was initially planned for the roster. Kaiba is going to be a DLC character, or Kaiba is going to be a part of some type of CPU versus mission mode in the future. I'm going to assume that that third one is not what's going to happen, because we haven't seen any evidence to suggest that there's going to be some type of rating system or anything like that. We haven't seen any evidence to that at all. However, I do think that both number 1 and 2 could be correct, which is that he was initially planned for base roster and he's now going to be DLC, or it could be any combination of that. He's now going to be DLC, he was never planned for base roster. He was planned for base roster and now he's not going to be DLC. It could be any of those things. But at some point, Kaiba was planned for this game. Whether he was planned and then was cut and it's not going to be DLC anymore, or he is planned to be DLC. One of those two things I think is happening. I don't think it's going to be some type of NPC thing added in the future, although don't write that off. That's certainly still a possibility, although, again, I think if that was going to happen, he wouldn't have a lobby interaction like this. That's just my take on it. There's now a few different things pointing to Kaiba being in the game. If you don't remember, a while back, Cyrus said some things about Blue Eyes White Dragon, which was interesting. I think it's very strange that there's no Kaiba clothing in the game at all, especially when you consider the fact that he has a much better fashion sense than Marek, who does have clothing in the game right now. Not just his earrings, but I believe he also has leg wear as well, but I'll have to double check that. I've said that Kaiba's on my prediction list for a while now. Most people doubt me when I say it, but I promise you he's coming. I feel it. He's coming. But again, please don't take that as a confirmation. I'm just saying I'm predicting Kaiba right now, and the game files specifically mention him. I am actually super hyped right now, regardless of whether Kaiba's in the game or not. I'm very happy to see that he was at least planned, so they realize how important Yu-Gi-Oh! Is on some level. So maybe if he's not even a part of Season 1, maybe he'll be a part of Season 2. If we get a Season 2, I don't know. But what I do know is that this is about to get pretty exciting. This DLC cycle is going to be fun. There's going to be V-Jump scans and stuff like that. It doesn't look like we're going to get a full roster leak, although that could happen anytime throughout the next couple days. And if it does, I'll be sure to let you know about it. If you could subscribe to keep up to date with future content, I very much appreciate it. I have some pretty awesome Jump Force content on the way. Leave a like on the video. It helps other people find it. My name has been Bilbzy, and I'll see you in the next video.